Okay, one sec. Has not quite started, but it will in a second. Uh, oops, one. Okay, there we go. Okay, so just quickly before we get started, my name is Simon. I'm a Trade and Perform coaching. Past performance is not indicative of future results. This is for educational purposes only. The idea here is I share my trade plan with you in hopes that it makes you a better trader. However, my trade plan is not for everyone. I do lose money on occasion, sometimes in trades, sometimes on days, but generally profitable, right? Let's see, where are we going to pick up here? Equities, futures, options, and currency trading have large potential rewards, but also large potential risks. You must be aware of the risks and be willing to accept them in order to invest in the futures and options markets. Do not trade money you can't afford to lose. This website and webinar is neither a solicitation nor an offer to buy or sell equities, futures, or options. No representation is being made that any account will or is likely to achieve profits or losses similar to those discussed in this channel. Past performance of any trading system or methodology is not necessarily indicative of future results. Absolutely consult your registered financial advisor and your risk trading plan before ever investing or trading any financial instrument. Blah, 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 blah. Let's move on. Okay, Chop Fest. So two things here, as I was saying a moment ago, right? These are the 5-minute key levels for today. Switch keyboards again. There we go. Okay, as you can see, we have been chopping around. So that tells me when I look at this, two things. Number one, there are stops under here, and there are stops behind here, and this whole area is resistance, right? So I would think inventory would generally be long through here for two reasons. Number one, we're in a bull market. Almost everyone is long, right? And what the market wants to do, right? So this is right out of Mind Over Markets. This isn't my thesis or theory or anything else. Markets like to shake out the weak trader. So you would normally expect them to come up, maybe collect some more buyers and shake them down, and then come back and take out the high, assuming the trend stays in place, which the trend is up, right? So when that's what you expect, you know that there's you can look at the price action and draw an inference from that. Failure to shake out these people at least below this 715 low, right? Failure to get below means you haven't shaken out the longs, and you can expect a push up, right? So we have two ways of looking at it. We either want to find, what I would want to find is to get below London low, right? Get below London low. This is a Dalton's Gap fill that we filled overnight. You can see they had resistance there. I'd want to get below 3306 and hold, right? Secondly, we're above, right? We are above prior day's high, value area, and prior day's low. So this is important. This value area, if you look on the profile, is almost equal to the prior day's value area, almost to the tick, right? So that tells me two things about this location on the chart. Let me go back to the 5-minute. So when I'm looking at this chart, the first thing that tells me is this area right from, specifically from here to here, can get very easily traded through. So that's important information. Let's say I get a short setup at 3,300. I'm going to look below 32.80. Normally I would look at 32.88.89, but I'm going to look below 32.84 and try to push that trade. Why? I have no idea if I can actually push below, but I know when we trade through an area and it's overlapping value areas, it can get pushed through. This is valuable intelligence because if you're short here, just like we were yesterday, we were short. I forget what we were short. I think we were short something 12, so it had to be like 33.12, right? Why does this look funny to me? Maybe the number's wrong. Wherever we were short yesterday, we pushed through the value area, right? And so I covered a small portion to cover my risk on the trade, and then I pushed all the way down. I'm positive I covered something like 32.80. Is that? Let's go just look through the chart. Oh, there we are. Okay, that's correct. So we're short, right? We are short approximately right in here, somewhere in this 1035 area. That's what it was. It was 32.92, right? So then when I look at this area, I know this area is getting traded all the way through. I know this is a chop area. So my first cover came, I was short 92.50, so 88.50, which was right at the prior day's point of control and makes an excellent target, right? I cover here. Now I have my risk off. So if it comes up, all I do is end up with a zero trade, right? And then I just sat there, right? I just sit. I actually had to leave here, which helped significantly, right? Sit. And then we come all the way down and all the way through there, right? And I look and go, okay, where I would have wanted to get long this trade, I would have hoped, there's not enough energy on the downside, is that we could have gotten underneath that. Just like today, I'd hope we could get underneath this, right? And underneath this as well, if possible, right? But I looked at it and I go, well, that's 12 points, right? And a pretty big flush towards the end of the day. And it's rare that we close at the low of the day. And it's slow and it's summertime and it's hard to build momentum in a bull market to the downside. So I take off a quarter down here at 33.80. And then here's what's the important part about this, right? I don't want to initiate a new short inside of here and try to trade contra. Why? No matter how bearish I may be or bullish I may be, either way, I don't want to establish a position inside. And this is exactly why. So think about the trader who went long here, right? Oh, he's doing great, and he thinks he's going to get all the way up here to 33.06. And guess what? He's right, right? But the problem is this area can get slipped all the way through. So because he initiated here, he gets stopped out over here, right? This is where you're going to see on trader, they stopped me out and then went to my target. And then it goes all the way to his target, all the way back to the high of the day by the end of the day, right? So I'm not a profile trader, right? But I'm going to take that profile, right? I'm going to take this profile and I'm going to go, okay, where do I have key areas to trade in? And then what do my setups look like? So now let's go to what we saw in here last night. I did not trade last night, but here's 2:30 in the morning, right? This is 2 a.m. So I know this, I want to go look at this. See this 33.17 to 33.23? I know it's a key area. If I'm not long, right, and there's really no way I could have gotten long because I didn't get to it. I could have gotten long from a profile standpoint because I didn't get to a key area. As a matter of fact, if anything, I would have thought this gap fill here, the Dalton's gap fill would have been an issue. And here's another piece, right? When you're looking at Dalton's gap fill, it'll often run to the anomaly behind it and then roll. Not unusual, right? So we're going to focus on this 33.17. If I come back to my 1 1/4 trade, which I actually think I lowered to 1 because it was so slow. So I'm going to come all the way back over here, excuse me. And I'm going to set up the trade for you there. I don't know if it works, I haven't looked yet. Okay, there's 33.17, right? That's our key area. It hits it right here at 2:53 a.m. So as we're going up here, right, I'm going stopped out seller, stopped out seller. Got to get back below that stopped out seller, right? Stopped out seller, right? So this would be a case when it's really slow. We don't always get a stopped out seller up on top of anything. And Bill and I have been discussing this. If anything, you've got to envision that this becomes your stopped out seller because they actually push down. See this? How you're getting to push down, get above, push down, get above. Okay, but from a wave standpoint, this is my last stopped out seller. Right underneath here, I know I've got to get underneath this guy to go any lower, right? So what else do we have on top? And this is the setup I used yesterday to enter the same trade. You're going to see it again. So the first thing you have to do is, because I don't have a stopped out seller up here technically, you have to lower the quality of this trade from an A trade to a B trade. Why? An A trade requires that you have all the elements all put together at one time, and we don't have a stopped out wave on top, just fact, right? But there's a bunch of things going on here. So number one, we have fractal up, fractal down, and then we get our fractal up, right? Within the formation of this, when you get fractal down, fractal up, and you get the algo to fire, and it fires a blue arrow, which is the strongest single arrow I have in that entire assembly of algos, right? As soon as I close underneath this, right, with a negative bar with a point of control, that's this bar. Some people don't like using hammers, it's either this bar or it's this bar, okay? That is your entry. Your stop goes right up here on top. This is on a 4 range. It was so slow, that's what I was using, right? Right on top. So your entry is roughly 33.15.75. Your stop is roughly 13.20.75. Let's just call it 5 points. Okay, it's either 4 or 5 points. I'm just going to go through it slowly, right? So still at this point, in order to get this trade to break away, you're going to have to get underneath this seller. Okay, so see how we get the algos firing to the downside? That tells you momentum is shifted, and you got underneath this blue arrow. It takes a lot of energy to form that blue arrow, right? So then we long liquidate. Obviously, it gives you enough to get your 1-to-1 RR, right? What you need once you get underneath this point is another arrow of any color pointing to the downside, right? And when you don't get it, when you don't get that arrow underneath, this is usually the result of it popping back in, and then just, it's a forever chop, right? And if you look at this long liquidation over here, see this here at 6:58 a.m., okay? In this case, right, as we're pushing up, this was proper. My guess is that was some kind of news. It went so fast. I doubt you would have caught it unless you were just Johnny on the spot, right? But here's your stopped out trader, okay? There's your fractal up, fractal down. And what you're going to see here, okay, so there's your, and again, I think this 7 to 8:30 period is a very hard time to trade. Some people love it. I hate it, right? So notice we come up, we take out all the stops on top. This pitches your stopped out trader. You get your bar with your point of control closing underneath, and actually technically it was right on this bar, right? It falls away. This, so I want to show you, this becomes your block of your stopped out trader here to here. So I'm going to draw it all the way across because I want to show you something. Okay, so close underneath, no arrow down, comes all the way down, comes all the way back, right? So because you didn't get the arrow down here, it found responsive buyers and it fell so quick. Comes all the way down, pushes out. Now it stopped this buyer. See this right here? This buyer gets stopped out. Okay. Come all the way back up, get above. So notice you're going to end up with 2 boxes here. See this? You're going to have this box. Oh wait, I stand corrected. I don't think this guy got stopped out. Did not. Scratch that. This guy did not get stopped out at the low, so this is not a stopped out buyer. Your stopped out buyer is all the way on top. So, scratch what I just said. Needs to get at least 1 tick underneath. So what this is you came down, you have no stopped out buyer. Backside test of your stopped out seller, rejection down, and now it's right before the open, right? But that's the process that we're looking for, right? 2 examples of the same process we're looking for. Both prove profitable. Even the backside test into this location, you'd really want to have your stop about 1 point above the stopped out seller, because you should get reaction and rejection out of the backside test of that location, right? Hey, Leandro, good morning. How are you? Hey, Joyce, good morning. Emmett, Matt, sorry, missed that earlier. Okay, that's how the trade sets up. I want to show you the trade from yesterday because I was a hair early and I could have waited a little bit. This is the same trade Monday. I was on a 1 1/4, but I'm pretty sure it sets up just the same. Okay, so I'm already short. Let me switch it to the correct profile. I still prefer the 1 1/4 over the 1 point. So if you remember, I'm already outside of, when I get up here, I'm outside of the area. I'm above prior day's high, right? I'm looking for a short in this area. So as you look, when we come up, I think I fired a hair early. And look at the qualities that go on here, right? So here's the, gosh, I forget where, I was 92.50, so I had to be short, right? And I already I left already by this point. I am gone. So that means I'm short over here. So I am using bum 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 bum. I had to have a fractal up, fractal down. Maybe I'm short over here. Bum 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 bum. And I am short 30.92.50. Boy, don't you hate it when you can't figure out how you set up your trade the prior day? I'm short up here. Well, that's just not possible. Bill, help me out. Where am I short from? Do you remember? Guys, I know I shorted 92.50. I covered 80. I had to stop at 96.50. Randy, anyone remember, guys? How did I get 92.50 short? No one remembers. I know I entered it. And it's not even here. 1 1/4. I'm on Monday. Oh, there's a problem. It's Tuesday. Sorry, guys. Here we go. Oh, that looks right. Okay, that is how I got short 92.50. Sorry. Okay, so as you look into this push-up, so the first problem is my stopped-out seller is all the way over here. I've got to get underneath this guy. It's this guy here, which sucks, right? It's from here to all the way up here. It's a huge stop-out zone, right? So then I get short, let's see, sequence, fractal, fractal. I know I had it came off a fractal, fractal with an arrow up. Ah, right here. Okay, so see this right in here at 1041? I guess I'll just go back to StockTwits and see when I posted it. Or look at my trading log. Okay, so I stand corrected. This became my stopped out seller. All right, as you can see, here's a line at the top of that wave. Cleared it by 1 tick. I get fractal down, fractal up, blue arrow up. I may have been short earlier than this, but I think I was short here, right? And then as soon as I close underneath, man, Bill, what did I short off of? No matter how I look at it, I should have been short here, 91 1/4. Oh, I was already on a 1 range bar because it got down so small. Got it. Okay, thanks. Here, let me change it. No wonder I'm frustrated. I'm like, shit, there's no way I could have entered on process. And I know I was on process. Okay, here it is. Ah, and that would explain it right there. So I used so to the high on a 1 range. This is my last stopped out. Nope. Stopped out seller. It had to be right here, right? Yeah, no, I agree. So, guys, I apologize. I don't know what I saw or why I can't put it back together here, but I know I'm short right in here. I'm going to guess like, oh, here it is right here. See this? I was looking for, there's fractal down, fractal up, blue arrow up, draw the line underneath, and I cheated because the point of control didn't get underneath. I shorted right there, I think. At any rate, that's where I shorted, and then you can just see it just took all day. No, that can't be it either because I sat through a bunch of times of where I thought I was going to get stopped. I had to short here, this bar right here. I didn't even wait for the arrow up. I got fractal up, fractal down, right? And I just shorted this. I either shorted here or here, one of the two. So either way, that's where I was short from. So the stop goes 1 point above the high. Sorry, I've just been fumbling over myself. So the stop was 96.50, and you can see it survived, rolled all the way down after a long, long wait. I was already gone here, so I did not see this trigger. Actually, technically this, so there's an important point here. See how this 92.50 technically triggered long, guys? We got above that, right? Okay, this is really important. You've got to know your location, right? And this is all the way at the high of the day. This is why I keep saying we want to lean on the side that we have the most likelihood of trading, right? And even within this location, even if you triggered long here, right? If you look as we came up, we stopped out this seller right here. So I want to go through this even though I wasn't here to trade it. I was at lunch with my daughter. So see this right here? Let's say you're long and you see this stopped out seller, fractal down, fractal up. You do not, sorry I said that reverse. You do not, your stop had to be on this bar and you should have flipped and shorted, right? And really you should have shorted right, actually still on that bar. That is your short signal down, right? So, and then this, by the way, was your delayed long signal right over there, which I did not take either. So all I did was I covered the AD into the hole, and I just thought that was a good stretch to the downside, so that's why I took it out. Anyways, that's my 2 cents going back and forth. If you follow the process precisely, it sets up really good, great trades. If you don't follow it precisely, it sets up nightmare scenarios where you get run over, right? So trade location first, right? Let's get this to the end. Trade location first, process second, and I can see we're moving, so let's just fix this to a 5 range. All right, so now let's go see where we are on this thing. So even though it looks like we've moved a lot, you can see we're still within the range. Here's where my hourly stops are. All right, I want to coordinate those with key locations. So that, I'd like to get below 33.09 to find a push back up. 33.17 to 33.23 serves as resistance. This is easily traded through. 33.06 is Dalton's gap fill, right? And then until we trade below 32.7750, you have to assume that we're trading to the upside, right? And so I'm not even going to speculate below 32.7750. I would expect 32.72 to 32.71 to hold the first time in, particularly on the first day where we break the prior day's low. It'll usually snap back in, so I'd expect between 67 and 72 is the best long location for today, unless we go into serious long liquidation, right? So that is my 2 cents. Let me see NQ really quick. So NQ's up 13. Yes. Whoa. That can't be right. Oh, ES is up 13. NQ is down 8. That's kind of a reversal from what we've had lately, right? Let me get rid of all this stuff. And NQ ripped from 1102 down to 1167, pretty much on the open. They pretty much snookered that thing. It's back to backside test its prior day's high at 11072, and it's moving pretty damn fast, considering ES is just kind of moseying its way along. So I'd expect them to snap NQ back up, would be my guess. I mean, what else would you expect? The other key thing here is, when we've been breaking these key hourly locations, almost every day we've been sweeping the whole area, right? So this is the low of the 730. So if I'm looking, what I'm looking for is a fractal up, fractal down. Here's my last stopped out buyer is here right now, right? So we need a fractal up, fractal down to the downside. And technically they're still just testing this area from 716, but I'm going to start fresh here to the right and let it reset up for me again instead of trying to grab it. And I want to talk about psychology importantly for a second, right? You have to be very patient to let the trade come to you, right? Yesterday was pretty much one trade. You could have had two if you wanted to take a long in the afternoon, I suppose. But you get mentally worn down in this game as you stay through it, especially if you're someone with a small account trying to make it into a ginormous account. My suggestion would be that you work really hard to find out what your best trade setups are and your best markets are, and not focus on making money on a daily basis. It's hard, right? Now, that's different. That's different than me saying you're not going to be profitable when you trade, right? What I'm saying is there's some markets that are simply more productive to making money than others. It's August. It was really slow. I really think I could have just as easily gotten stopped out as gotten paid 12 points yesterday, right? It just did not participate, and it's dying every day at about 9. Now we're getting earlier and earlier. 9:45 is when it got killed. Normally you would expect it at 10:30, right? Just slow your pace down. Things will change, right? This is at the point where, if you think about the mass psychology, everyone is expecting Congress to pass another unemployment bill or PPP bill or whatever they're calling this bill, right? Everyone expects them to pass it. It's an election year. They're going to pass the damn thing, right? You got to remember, in order to get the market to really roll down, you got to get grandma and grandpa to sell. Okay, they got to look at their statement and go, oh shit, I got to get out of this, right? Everyone talks about taking profits when markets are high, and very few people actually do it. Most people I know from casual friends I'm talking to are asking, how does Robinhood work? Right? How do I trade options? I'm getting a lot of questions about that. Not from pro traders, just people who have never been in the market. Hey, how do I trade options? I've got a friend making a lot of money trading options. I'm hearing stories of people getting rich overnight, right, with over leveraged positions. These are signs of a top, but they can get hung up here for a long time. At the top of a rotation, the ranges are the most narrow. When we get out of this, they go wide and fast, right? Which is where most people who are making all their money right now will lose all their money, right? Because they will assume the dip will get bought, they'll over leverage it, and the dip will get bought. But instead of down 0.5%, it'll get bought down 3%, which is enough to wipe them out, right? Because they're over leveraged on the trade. But to get grandma and grandpa to sell, you're going to have to do something special at this point because they are disincentivized to sell. They have to pay taxes, right? And the market seems like it's just going to keep going up forever. So why take out your position? Most fund managers are not day traders. Most of them are oriented towards long-term capital gains. Most hedge funds are oriented towards long-term capital gains and plays. So the short side is really the very hard side. So what you really want to do is gear yourself. So see how we couldn't clear underneath the hourly stop outs here? We did in NQ, we just didn't in ES. So see how you're geared towards those stop outs over here? You want to be aware of that, right? You want to be aware of that. The fact that we can't clear those hourly lows shows strength or a lack of weakness. And what we may end up doing is just like yesterday, we could just sit here all day. That's okay on August 5th, right? And so our goal to get through the week is to make doubly sure that we're taking all our trades, not only at location, but on setup with the proper stop. We're willing to take each trade, I would say 2 times during the summertime, right? But I know I have to take each location 2 times on a setup, right? And I have to budget and size my trade for those 2 times, right? And then see how things kind of shake out. And then when I get my 1 trade that works or 2 trades that work, I want to turn my machine off. The last thing I want to do is rack up just a ton of commissions, right? Trying to make August work when August is one of the harder months, right? So, and you can already see, look how little volatility we're having. This is a 1 1/4 range bar, and it's hard to get the setups. Like this is just for reference here. This is just a few days ago, right? Those are good rotations there, right? That's Asia with good rotations, right? That's U.S. session with good rotations, right? See how we came down, fractal up, fractal down. We just didn't get the down arrow. It's this arrow that's going to, it's this fractal right actually here that's going to clear. Once you get this, it's that one. You close above, see ya. Okay, so that's what we're looking for today, and it's just hard to get it when it's just so massively slow. And as you can see, compared to even, that was a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, it was easy to get the formations to set up. Very difficult here. So, any questions in the room, guys? But when it gets rolling, it'll rock. When it gets rolling. Has not done so yet. And technically for continuation, I have NQ short here. Like hell if I'm shorting it, but I have NQ short. And then when you see this, right, where it's just not trading, unless you just know we're going to go set new highs, chill. There's nothing to do. We need some kind of speed. Speed creates displacement, right? Without displacement, how are you going to catch someone off sides and take their trade the other direction? It's really hard. NQ has to, as of right now, clear 11.08850 in order to push higher. It might reset, but it hasn't yet. And let's see if we have anything on the econ table that we are, or crude oil inventories today. Maybe I need to look to oil. I haven't traded oil in a little while, consistently. Nothing. Back up into resistance. Bill, I think we got to go to a 4 range. Guys, I'm dropping to a 4 tick bar. No choice. It's just not fast enough. And even there, nothing so far. Pretty pitiful. Well, how are they going to make me do what I didn't want to do? CL chart. Line range. 16 chart. Attach chart. So I'm tracking the CL trades as well. No setup on NQ yet. It's just dancing with that prior day's high, that 11.072. Let's see, Xavier. Just a quick question. So those 30. Wait, so to clarify, the 3105, 309, 310.50 level. Xavier, I missed your question, buddy, and I don't understand the reference. Quick question. So with the 310, still dancing with prior day's high on NQ. Not lifting, not dumping, just chop. Wow, this is horrible price action. And it's the first 15 minutes of the day. Like, talk about acceptance. Watch on the overtrading, guys. Or any trading for that matter. This should squeeze out shorts now. That if anyone tried to fade that off the open, right? We've had 15 minutes and there's no downside rotation in a slow market. You would expect the rotation, and all the inventory was long. You would expect it a shakeout, right? Lack of like we've gotten in NQ. Lack of shakeout usually means continuation higher. Now, how it does it, I have no idea, or when it does it, or if it does it. I'm not even sure, but there's no shakeout there. This is going to be that whole 33.17 to 23 is going to be a tug of war. What you want to see is them blast that, then backside test the 23 to 17 for the long. Instead of guessing they're going to make it through. That's a legit anomaly. It should serve as resistance. And it has for hours now. And wow, we're just in a coma. NQ finally lifted off the 11.072 and cleared the 11.08575. It's really worth about 20 points so far. Above that again. For those who want to trade NQ, ask me. For me, in terms of coaching, it's been a graveyard of pain for a lot of people. They just can't adjust to the speed when it gets fast, and they don't know when to stop trading it, and it annihilates trading accounts. So you've got to have the discipline to back out of that trade very, very quickly. Hourly stop outs, by the way, for shorts are all, I'd say it's all above this. Even if you wanted to be short, you're looking for setups. I'll take the setup inside the anomaly, right? But it's got to be above 1975 to 22, somewhere in that range, preferably 22, right? If it breaks out, it's unlikely to set up short anyways. And notice during the most volatile period that there's just no evidence of sellers, right? So far. And VIX is dropping like a rock. Has to be. Thank you, sir. Do you experience a lower win rate when you take a trade that goes away from the point of control, for example, as long as the 3310, as opposed to if you were taking a long below the point of control in the value area? Do I experience a lower win rate? Yes. I either would want, so if this is my point of control here, so here I'd rather my longs set up above that for push out, or I prefer my longs to set up underneath so that I can get a scale into, and then if my trade tells me I can push through, so yesterday's a good example, right? So if I get my long, which was down so remember, you got the long somewhere down here yesterday, if I recall correctly, right? And so what I would say is, so as I said, the value area low and then the point of control became your first targets, right? For scale out. But then you got to use your next skill set, which is, if you think it's going to continue, right, that's where you leave your trailer. Or, if you get really good, you're going to go, that's it. It's really, for me, it's really hard to do that when it's slow. But sometimes you will see me say, when the market's fast and we drop really hard and really fast, and we come all the way down stretch, I'm like, they're going to take that to the other end of the range. And the other end of the range was here, right? So you broke the range down here at 6:30. I think you got long into this white zone overnight or somewhere near here, right? So the other end of this range, looking at the chart immediately, would have been this 32.97 and 3/4. And I hope I'm answering the question. And my immediate targets would have been value area low, right? Once we trap back in, So we see how they held it, broke, closed back in. So assuming they hold the 77.50, my target would have been value area low, which I said, point of control, and then you leave a trailer and hope you get damn lucky. Or you could have reloaded down here at the end of the day. That would have been like 4 in the morning for you, right? And hope they push out. Am I answering the, but if I established in here, I think that would be very, very difficult. But you can establish out of here and think, hey, we're going to sweep the value area and get back above and go. And you could have used this here as the hourly stop in Asia if you wanted to, if it's set up properly. Just knowing the only downside to this is, just know if they don't hold this, they're going to sweep that range, so you have to be tight on your stop. Not tight on your stop, but disciplined on your stop. If it falls in, you don't want to keep taking it over and over again. Does that make sense? I hope I answered the question. Now I'll have to save it for a coaching session. And Peter has open levels in the range at 1075, 33, 3296.50, and 3282 and a quarter. He's posted that up on the Slack channel, guys. And NQ behaved as I really wanted. So see this right here? See when you get this delay? See when you get set off the bottom? But see you got fractal up, fractal down, and then they get this blue. As soon as we close above here, that'll usually cause a lift. Okay, so that's a trading setup, right? This little area right here, that's a trading setup. But where are we at? We're at 33.17 to 33.23 and a quarter. So this is important, right? If I'm weighing whether I want to get long, that might work, but I'm betting we're going to bust that anomaly. So guys who've been with me for a long time know, right? If you're going to bet 100 times that an anomaly is going to get traded all the way through and then break out to the upside, you'd be about a 20% winner, right? So you better have one hell of an RR on that thing, right? Because that is a very difficult place, and I would not take that. That's a great example of perfect setup, or B grade setup, but horrible location, right? And where I run and find people run into trouble here is if I was trading for myself only, like I wasn't running the room, shit, I'd have packed it up by now. It's 9 o'clock. I can already tell you, unless I look on the screen and see a major roll to the downside, providing an opportunity, this is already telling me, hey, I'm going to be grinding it up. As a matter of fact, it told us overnight we're going to be grinding today, right? So I am watching CL to see if it sets up anything, and CL did set up. Here, I'll show you. I just don't have it organized enough. I've got a new monitor for it, but here's CL, right? So here's the roll to the downside. Here's my last swing low, swing high, right? So I was trend up. This is my last swing area. I'm going to go with this as my last roll off my base to my high. All right, here's my 768. Okay, stopped out buyers over here. I'm not going to get anyone downstairs. Stopped out buyer. So here's my last stopped out buyer right over here. So now I have a stopped out buyer. It's off to the right instead of the left this time. Okay, and within the stopped out buyer, I get fractal up, fractal down, algo fire, put a line above, PSC with the point control bar with PSC above, push, backside test, backside test. So your long would have been roughly, my worst long would have been this, 43.19, my best would have been 15, and that's worth approximately 20 cents right now. So after 9:30, I will start pushing that out. I need to set up the other monitor so that I can just have it on the screen of its own. And if you look overnight, oil's a good trader, right? You just got to know it really well, right? So if you look over here, right, this one's set up a little bit differently. So the stopped out seller tells me where the release point comes from. So stopped out seller, no. Yes, so here's my last stopped out seller. They're pretty much parallel. There's not much difference here. But that's my stopped out. Oh no, not stopped out. So this is my stopped out seller. That's my fractal up, fractal down, algo fires. Again, I will take that trade. almost every time. Pushes up. I need to borrow the POC underneath, so that's my short. That's my backside test. It's my long liquidation. That's below my stopped out seller. Backside test, stopped out seller, push, and then it resets for a long to push back up over here. Right? And that's how that trade works. So, and you can obviously see we're basically trading sideways through there. Okay, so I'll try to add that more to the mix. I haven't been lately, but I will fix that. And you can see once we closed above here, fractal down, fractal down, blue arrow down, closed above, and now it's trying to push. The problem is it's trying to push inside of an anomaly, which is why I wouldn't take that trade. That's just a formula for non-happiness. NQ is now pushed from your entry, which would have been approximately 1193. It's pushed up to 1118. So almost 30 points, 25 points. That's $500 a contract. All right? Now, I'm not encouraging, I want to be clear, I'm encouraging absolutely no one to trade NQ. If you can watch NQ through several cycles, and particularly when we get illiquid and you think you can handle the pain that is associated with that thing and how fast it moves, right? The reward is great, but the devastation is greater, right? It took me a long time to get the discipline down to trade that thing properly, and more importantly, stop trading it when it gets illiquid. Looks great, but if you've never been stop run for 15 or 20 points on a stop, it sucks, especially when you have any kind of size on. And back into the grind we go. This isn't correct. Excuse me a second, guys. And I do believe we're about to get a rain shower. Obviously, the econ moved this needle 0. So I don't know who's buying up here, but they're looking for someone else to buy from them, so good luck with that in the bigger picture of things. And it has started raining. Yes, I have a. It is nice. That is good. It means it's cool temperatures. I will attempt a short on NQ on a close below 11.04. The stop will have to be above 11.17 if it goes. If it goes. That's not yet. So between below 11 and 11.04.50. The only reason I'm pointing it out is so you can look at it on your own chart and decide whether you want to trade it or not. So NCS is not going to set up in NQ. So remember, all I'm doing is teaching the setup here, right? Because nothing else really matters. If it goes, I'll show you, but I need to close underneath this fractal up, fractal down, close underneath. Stop goes on top, and you hope for the best. Took out an hourly stop over here. That is what I'm doing. I'll show it again when it flashes over, if it sets up and triggers. It'll probably trigger, or the other thing I can do is go for a backside test of my last stopped out seller, which I will add on that if it triggers. If. into hourly stops on ES. Again, short will be just like yesterday, right? It's probably going to be a very big patience game. There's no indication of sellers available, right? There's no volatility, and so we're just kind of, we didn't get to any key hourly stops, and we didn't get the long setup came here. See that? It didn't come in an ideal location, but it came inside the anomaly, right? So you're just betting it's going to bust the anomaly, and it may or it may not. So far, that trade would have been a 33. It's a 3-point trade so far, almost, right? So, and I'm fine passing on that trade every single time when it's into an anomaly. See how we came above the 33.1975? Algo's found sellers, but they're still, so the setup is here now, right? The close underneath 33.17, I will take that, right? I will take that. I'll put my stop firmly behind here. So the zones usually require a 2-point stop to survive under most circumstances. So it's 33.23 and a quarter. I'll bring the stop up to 25 and a quarter if it triggers. And again, that would have to be below 33.17 and a quarter, and I'd hope for a quick roll down, but I'm prepared for it to just be a mental drubbing, right? So I want to be clear before that sets up, if it sets up, right? There's two things that go on there. If you don't take it and it rolls for 10 or 15 points, you're going to say, I should have stayed on plan. If it stops you, you're going to say, I should have seen how slow it was and not taken the trade, right? AKA lose-lose, right? So you simply have to be committed. It's totally fine to look at the pace of the market and go, I don't trade this pace, okay? Or you go, I don't care about the pace. I'm committed to the setup. I'm at location. I've got the setup, and I'm taking it. That's okay too. But don't put yourself in a psychological position where you're in a lose-lose. Just make a decision. Go, this is my decision of what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that trade below 32.17. Okay? If it sets up. And what am I going to push for? 33.06, 3300, 32.93, 32.89 to 32.88, and or if it triggers long, and I obviously won't ignore the long trigger. Okay? But don't put yourself in a position where you're a lose-lose no matter what you do. Pace is an acceptable reason not to trade. Lack of rotation is an acceptable reason not to trade, right? But don't put yourself in a position where you're going to be in a difficult no-win situation. All right, here's your last seller, by the way. Stopped out seller. So close underneath 32.17. Bill would argue you're going to have to clear this 32.16, but this is fractal with the algo triggering inside of it. So that's good enough for me. Am I being clear on that? Thank you. 2075 was a divergent print, by the way, according to Peter's stats. Again, I'm still up for the stop has gotten significantly better, so I'll take it twice with a 20-point stop on NQ, or hope that it sets up again. Actually, the stop will be 20 against whatever I enter on NQ. We'll see if ES sets up. NQ's close, but no cigar. And we have oil inventories in 13 minutes. Slow train today. Slow train. Ten minutes until the bottom of the hour. So had you taken that long trade at roughly 33.17 and a quarter, 3 points was the best you could have been able to make. So obviously that's okay, but nothing to write home about. You took out the stops off here to the left. So the entry is going to be 11.09750 with additions to the trade if it pushes back up, and it has not triggered yet. On NQ, ES is going to be the same. See how they're defending that 17 quarter? No trigger on NQ. Order pulled. And no trigger obviously on ES. Limit 1109. Well, I'm not sure the POC is there. Finger on trigger, but not there yet. Yes, there's nothing to do. Thank you has a higher failure rate, obviously. Well, this is some theta burning stuff, isn't it? No trigger on NQ, which is fine by me. Push it all the way up there. I want a short, I want a good short. Wow, this just is pure summertime. Minutes till numbers on CL. It's basically been in a range of 43.46 to 43.12 all night, all morning long, at least since the open. So we'll see what she can do. And guys on YouTube, I'm going to kill this because this has been a snooze fest. So, anyways, if y'all have any questions or you'd like to join us in the room, the email is TRADENPERFORM, TRADENPERFORM @gmail.com. Hope you have a great day. Do not rack up a boatload of commissions in this crap. Anyways, talk to y'all later.